there's a statistic that 40% of caregivers will pass before the one they're caring for, because they simply they stop caring for themselves.
Wait. Let me break that down. Let me understand that correctly. So the mom is Mary. Jane is taking care of Mary. Jane passes before Mary 40% of the time. Wow. Okay. That's a terrible number. Welcome back to the Just Build Baby studio. You're listening to the BuildX Podcast, your ultimate guide to creating exceptional homes, innovative living spaces, and staying informed on all aspects of residential building technologies. Today, we're excited to have Erin Nunes in studio with us. Erin is a managing partner at estate planning and elder law firm of Surprenant Nunes with 21 years of experience in the industry, 11 as an attorney. Erin, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I know it took us a while to get this scheduled.
I know. I have young kids in elementary school, so they bring home, every germ imaginable. So I appreciate your patience.
Yeah, no, I'm glad it worked out. I kept saying to you, I really want to get on the show to talk about this stuff. So
yeah,
we're finally here.
We are.
So what I like to do with my guests in the beginning is just find out how you came to be an attorney and how you decided to focus on what you focus on. So if you could just take me from, not at birth, but,
Okay.
Your younger years before
Sure.
you decided to be an attorney, and tell me about that journey.
Sure. So I was really fortunate. I worked for my current partner, Michelle Benesky, as a nanny.
Really?
Michelle has 4 now adult children.
Sure.
And I was their nanny for a number of years, and we got really close, and they no longer needed a nanny, and I needed a job. So she said, why don't you come work as a receptionist at the law firm? So I said, okay. So I have been a receptionist. I have been a paralegal. I have done a little bit of the marketing. But, over time, I was just really influenced by what Michelle and her brother, Dan Surprenant, were doing. I think they are exceptionally moral. I think they really try to do the right thing by their clients, really smart. And I wanted to be able to contribute more than I was able to at that paralegal level.
Oh.
So I decided to go to law school.
Wow.
And
really?
Yes.
While you were working?
While I was working, yep. So I worked.
And had children at the same time?
No, the children came later.
I was going to say, wow.
No, just work and law school.
That's enough.
Yes. So I went to UMass Law in Dartmouth, which is the area in which I live.
Sure.
That was our primary location for the firm at the time in New Bedford. So I worked, went to law school, graduated, passed the bar, thank God. And
first try?
First try.
Good job.
Yes, thank you. And, then I was an associate for a number of years. And 4 years ago, Dan and Michelle made me a partner.
Wow.
And then just this past April, I became one of the owners.
Wow.
So I've been there for really my whole professional career. Yeah. And I think that says a lot in this day and age about the
100%.
type of business that we're running and the type of people that we have working with us.
Yeah.
So we're really lucky, and I'm very lucky.
That's a great story.
Thank you.
I love it. And so tell me about the firm. How many people are there now? What your locations are?
So we have 4 physical locations. We have one in New Bedford.
Yeah. That's the original.
That's the original.
Okay.
We have one in Hyannis, one in Easton, and our most recent location we just opened in Plymouth.
Okay.
So
America's hometown.
Yes. We also we meet people at their homes.
Sure.
If they're in an assisted living, if they're in the hospital.
Yeah.
We do phone call consultations, Zoom meetings. We really try to make estate planning accessible for folks. That's part of why we opened the Plymouth location. We want people to have access to good quality estate planning. So we've got those 4 locations, and we have 6 attorneys right now, an amazing support staff of paralegals, client support specialists, just really dedicated and knowledgeable people who help guide our clients, through the process. whether that's estate planning, planning for long-term care. If someone has passed and they're having to go through a probate process, we've got different teams that handle those different departments.
Wow. So if someone needs something, you're going to be able to help them.
9 times out of 10, yes.
But you'll be able to tell them that up front. If it's something you can't help them with, you will refer them to someone that can.
That's right.
Yeah. So bottom line is call you, tell you what you're trying to do. If you can't help them, you're going to give them to someone you know can help them.
Right. If it's not our area of expertise, we don't try to overstaff.
Sure. Yeah,
we
you
know
can't
what
be great
we
at
know,
everything. Right.
and we'll send them to somebody who can service them properly.
Right. And it's somebody you know and trust.
Yes.
Right. So one-stop shop, but they may not end up working with you, but 9 times out of 10, they're going to work with your firm.
Yes, from the legal side of things.
Right.
Yes.
Or if there may be some collaboration needed, you'll be the quarterback.
Correct.
And you'll handle all that.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's important that people understand they just need to call, tell you what you're trying to achieve, and then you're going to take it from there.
Yep. And we offer a free consultation. So we carve out about an hour and a half
Wow.
for our incoming prospective clients.
So you spend a lot of time without a fee to really get to know what they're trying to achieve.
Yes. What their goals are, what their concerns
Sure.
are, what they're hoping a plan can accomplish for them.
Yeah.
And then we walk them through that process, what it
Wow.
looks like from a timing perspective.
Wow. That's amazing. And again, free of charge.
Yes.
You'll explore that whole thing.
Yes.
Now, from that consultation, you'll be able to tell them what?
What our recommendations are to help them achieve the different goals or address or minimize the risk that they feel that they have, what the cost of that planning might be
Okay,
like.
so you'll give them some budgetary guidance on that phone call.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Almost every time by the end of that consultation, we know what the recommendations will be and what the price will be. So
you have a price sheet you're looking at, and you'll say, you need this part, you need that part, you need this part.
Yes.
It's going to be around this range.
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
I think everyone should call you.
I agree. I agree.
Well, you're here now. That's good stuff.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, let's talk about ADUs.
Okay,
My favorite subject.
Okay.
So I am imagining that you are, since the ADU law passed, the frequency of phone calls and queries have increased dramatically for you around estate planning and other things that involve an ADU or a family coming together.
It has, and it's also something that we're recommending more when folks are coming to us and they've got the concerns about, mom or dad or an aging family member wanting to live in a supportive environment, but not an assisted living, not a long-term care facility, or, where there's young adult children who financially cannot go out into the world because the world is very expensive right now.
It is.
And they're looking for an opportunity to have a little bit more independence, and privacy amongst the different family members.
Yeah.
So that's coming up a lot. And also in an area for folks with special needs.
Yeah. Some type of disability. Yep.
Right. Yep. Whether that be physical or intellectual, but being able to have as much independence as they safely can.
Yeah.
100%. While being able to reach out if they need help.
Right.
So it's giving us an opportunity to make those recommendations and make the goals that people have to accomplish that reality, which is amazing.
It is. So just quickly, in December of 23, the Myettes, John and Pam used to work for me 26 years ago now, and she had to stop working because she had her second child and he had something wrong. At the time, they didn't know what it was. So fast forward 24 years, he was getting ready to, age out of the system, if you will, and have to go in a group home or something else. And, she was having a conniption fit, right? Because he is nonverbal. He can't tell you what's going on, right? He doesn't speak any words. And I meant Billy. Sorry, it's hard.
Okay.
So she called me December 23 and said, I think the town of Plymouth's finally going to pass this ADU bylaw before the state does. And I said, she said, will you build me an ADU? I said, Pam, I'll build you whatever you want, but what's an ADU? And I had heard the term. I had heard the term, but I never paid attention to it because it didn't exist around here.
Right.
I had done tons of in-laws and, all that whole dance, but, kind of ADU light, if you will.
Yes.
Right. But never heard that term. So obviously dug into it. And, she and I, we were fortunate. We were very confident that bylaw was going to pass in town of Plymouth. And she had a big group. The town of Plymouth is town meeting members. It's not the whole. So there's elected people that go and represent because it's such a big town. And so that's a published list. So she literally called every one of them. And she had a whole bunch of friends call every one of them and say, this is why we need this. So long story short, it passed. But we were confident it was going to pass. So we had already engaged with a surveyor and had our surveying done and figured out the septic and all the things that go with it. So it was literally the day that it, passed the town meeting, we filed for a permit. They didn't even know how to give us a permit. That's how early we were. Yeah. So we were the first ones to ever get a permit for a detached ADU in the town of Plymouth. And in the middle of building it, I was watching a video about marketing, and there was a gentleman, Rick Stoley, was talking about his remodeling clients. They have open houses when the project's done to show their other clients how the remodeling came out. And I called Pam and I said, Pam, would you mind if I take the ADU and do some home tours? Mm-hmm. Back then we called them open house. We call them home tours now. And she said, sure, go ahead. And literally over 5 weekends, so 10 days, we had 300 families come through.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was only from Facebook ads and a little ad out in the street.
That must have blown your mind.
It was wild. And I had no idea. And just hearing their stories, all those stories we just talked about, elderly parents, multiple children, disability, young buyer, all those stories, just hearing those, 200 plus stories. I mean, I was exhausted at the end of it. There were times, it's 900 square feet. There were times you couldn't even move in there. There were so many people. So for hearing that stories, I said, wow, it's going to
be big.
Yeah. But I intrinsically knew it, but it was just proof, that there was a lot of people that really needed this. So we sold 5 more, those 10 open houses, home tours. And then we started doing home tours again in May of 25 in Plymouth. And then we ended in December of 25. And over that time frame, we had another 700 families come through. Wow. Yeah. And from that, we've sold another 20 odd units. And we just started doing home tours again in January of this year. And the first weekend, we had 63 families through on 2 days.
Wow. Where do you build? Are you like
so Weymouth? Yeah, Weymouth to Falmouth, out to 24. That's our territory, and it's on our map. But the point of that story was, I've heard, what we just talked about, those stories and how integral it is to people's lives and how important it is. And I didn't understand that when this law went through. Mm-hmm. And that's actually why I'm so excited about it, because you can't, mom needs a place to live. She has the big house, doesn't need it anymore, wants to downsize. And what I say to people, listen, your mom's, again, if we back up 20 years ago, when that scenario happened, you would just buy the little house across the street from you.
Right.
The ranch would come up on sale.
Right.
You would put mom in it. She'd be happy. You'd wave every morning and walk over there if you need anything. That doesn't exist anymore.
No, it does not.
Right. And, when people are struggling to find housing, it's expensive. Yeah. So she sells her house for $1 million. You got to go buy a condo for $1 million. And it's still 10
for half the size.
Right. And it's still 10 to 15 minutes away.
Yeah.
And what I say to people, if it's 10 to 15 minutes away, it might as well be 4 hours. Because the time you get in your car, you drive over there, help them with whatever they need help with, yada, yada, yada. And there's a big disconnect. And especially if they need, monitoring. I'm just going to use that word, right? It's going to really wear on your entire family. Now they can be in your yard, right? And they can be detached. I happen to like the detached ADU myself for what you spoke about, feeling that independence.
Yes.
Even if it's only 10 feet away, it's still detached.
Yes.
And we can always set it up, and we've done this for a couple customers already. We set it up so the breezeway can go in someday.
Oh, okay.
When they don't want to go back outside anymore, when they really need to be over there a lot.
Right.
But in the beginning, let's do detached.
Yeah.
Because then it feels like your own little place. So that's the fascinating part about it.
Absolutely is. How did it work out for your friend in
Yeah, they love it. They've actually the I'm sure you know what an HMLP loan is.
Mhm.
They were one of the very first ones to get one for an ADU, and actually the HMLP division went and did a testimonial video with the Myettes and Billy just recently, and it's on their website.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's pretty cool.
yeah. So they love it. He loves it. It's changed. I mean, there's a whole testimonial on our website about Pam talking about, a year later, we did a 1 year later follow up with her the other day. And she talks about, how it's just changed their entire, life.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's really amazing. And that was the whole point.
Yeah.
That was the
But
whole
I did not understand any of that when I started this journey. I was just like, oh, okay, people need stuff built. I'm going to go build it. But then after understanding the interdynamics and the family dynamics, what I say to people is building an ADU is 70% family dynamics and 30% of what you're going to build.
Right. I'd even say 80-20, but okay. I think in terms of the aging population, I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that, we're in a healthcare crisis.
Mm-hmm.
There's not enough quality care to go around.
Yeah.
Nursing homes are falling by the wayside.
Yeah.
There's not enough people to staff them appropriately. It's expensive. And, for most people, they want to avoid that.
Yeah, because again, you don't know who's taking care of them.
Right.
Right. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Right. And B, they're somewhere between 10 and an hour away, depending on what you can get in.
Yeah,
right?
at least.
And you may be on a waiting list. I was just speaking with a couple the other night, and her mom is in an assisted living. It's $7,500 a month. And they're like, we should build an ADU. Now, she went there because they felt like she needed, extra. But it turns out, she was just in a rough spot, and she's kind of turned it around. So, now they're considering building a small detached ADU on the property.
Even if she did need some extra help,
Still
if you
cheaper.
can,
Right.
if you can afford to build the ADU, you can take that $7,500 or whatever it is, and bring in some additional care to support
Right.
the family care that they're getting.
100%. Yeah, no, it's fascinating, and it's again, the more I meet with customers, the more I understand the 80%, if you will,
Right.
behind it.
Right. So I think for that senior who is looking to do something like that, move onto the property of a family member, there's definitely some things that
Yeah,
we
so
need
let's
to consider.
do some what ifs.
Yes.
We ready to do some what ifs?
Yes, I am.
Now, disclaimer to everyone listening, this is January of 2026. Whatever we tell you, don't call us up 2 years from now and say, what you told me was wrong.
No, I really do think that this
I understand, but I like putting the disclaimer out there because,
yeah,
we're going to obviously talk in generalities, right? Because we're going to play some what ifs, but no matter what, they need to call you on the phone and have that hour and a half to call, which is free of charge. And you're going to advise them and say, this is what I think you need to do. And here's the budget to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
I
So
think,
this is a primer.
yes.
This is not legal advice.
Right. It's more some things to consider.
Sure. Absolutely.
Because I think generally speaking, people don't think about everything that they need to think about.
Well, they don't know. It's the first time doing it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Even when folks come to see us and they decide that they want to be a full-time caregiver, we gently let them know all of the things that they need to consider.
Right.
Because anytime you're making a big life-changing decision like that, you want to go into it with eyes wide open.
Yeah.
The
best you can.
Because otherwise it's much harder to undo the situation.
Oh, yeah.
Than it is to plan for it appropriately right from the get-go.
100%. All right, so let's do some what ifs.
Okay.
I'm going to put you on the hot seat.
Okay.
So I'm going to use the word parents. All right, so it's parent or parents, but I'm just going to say parents. Now, and I'm going to give you some tricky ones. Right, we're gonna do an easy one, then we're gonna make it harder as we go. Okay.
Yes. I'm ready.
So parents have a primary home,
Okay.
and they don't need it anymore. It's too big, taxes, etc. Right, and they're too far away from their children. Right, and the children have been helping them a little bit, and now they need more support. I'm gonna just go with one child for now because when there's multiple children, it gets more complex. Right, so we're gonna just do I'm gonna do the easy first.
Okay.
Right, so there's one child, and she lives in the same state as you, and you're going to sell the primary home and build the ADU. So what's the first things that you tell people about that scenario that they need to consider?
That the ADU does not have a separate form of ownership. It is part of the property. So you won't own the ADU.
Correct.
So you want to account for that if you are not just leaving everything to that one child. Because if you're investing in building something on their property, you're very likely enhancing the value of their
enriching
property.
them, 100%.
Right. And leaving less available for other beneficiaries that you might want to be providing for. So if there are grandchildren you want to include, charities you want to include, anyone other than that one child you plan to move onto their property with, you need to set up your estate plan to account for that. Perhaps they're getting retirement funds that you have or some other assets designed to offset what your child is already receiving by way of enhanced property values.
Right. But let me ask you some what ifs in there. And again, I'm not a lawyer, so nobody yell at me.
Okay.
It's my understanding that unless we do some mechanism, they have no ownership in the property.
Parents.
The parents.
Correct.
Now, is there any danger in that as far as, I'm going to just use $400,000. They take $400,000. They sell the house for $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
They take $400,000 of the proceeds and they build an ADU. Right now, they've enriched Mary. Mary's been enriched $400,000. Now they're on the property. Mary has her husband Jack. Jack and Mary get divorced. What happens to the parents?
You're in trouble.
So how do we protect from that?
So they could, meaning all parties involved, Jack, Mary, and parents, they could create a trust that provides for the parents. They could,
like a lifetime estate, they get to live there forever,
right?
No matter what.
Or even some provisions that if the property is sold, parents get back their $400,000 so that they can go and provide for themselves elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Or if there is a divorce, that they have X amount of time before they need to vacate that property. Especially if we're talking about some time having passed,
Mm-hmm.
their health probably has changed,
Yep.
and it's not going to be as easy to relocate.
Yeah, I mean, just globally, what I tell people is, you thinking you're going to do this, don't wait.
Right.
Right? Because at some point, you're just too old to do it.
Well, it's hard to move.
Well,
It's hard to move.
there's a lot. It's stressful.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a lot to it.
Yes.
But let's keep exploring that scenario. So now I don't own that. Is that $400,000 free game for Medicaid to attach to?
So it would be considered a gift under the current Medicaid rules.
Mm-hmm.
There is an exception built into the Medicaid rules that say that if you have made a transfer, made a gift for a purpose exclusive of spending down your assets for qualifying for Medicaid, they're not supposed to penalize you for doing that.
But there's no language that says if you build an ADU, you're in the clear.
Correct.
Right.
I think the length of time between when you've made the gift and when you need the care and other resources that you might have are going to be factors. So let's say you did that and 4 years later, something happens. You need long-term care. It's just unavoidable.
Yeah.
And you want to qualify for MassHealth. They have the right to look back into your records for 5 years. They're going to see that you sold your home, you invested in this property, and our argument would be, if we were assisting, was exactly that. They did this not for the purposes of spending down their resources.
And what do you think the success rate in that argument is?
We haven't had to do it specifically in the context of an ADU.
That's too new. Yeah.
We have had pretty good success. Again, the further back in time it is,
Sure.
But still within that 5-year window is helpful. And if there are other resources, if they invested $400,000 from the sale of their house, but they still had $1 million in liquidity available to them. I mean, a pretty good argument can be made that they didn't deplete their resources.
Right. They used a portion to stay in housing.
Correct.
Got it.
To stave off Medicaid for as long as possible, not to qualify for it.
They did them a favor.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
They
like-
would have needed that care much
Yeah,
sooner if they
100%.
weren't in Mary's backyard.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, that's if we don't form a trust or they don't go on the deed. If they go on the deed, it changes the equation, correct?
It does, because now they're going to have an ownership interest. So it's not going to have been a gift that they made.
Yeah.
It was a fair market transfer, presumably, if the numbers work out.
Sure.
If it's a $800,000 property, once the ADU is built, let's just say, and they've put $400 into it and they own half, they bought something that was worth $400,000.
Got it.
So it can work out that way.
Okay. So again, as I say to all my clients, every situation is unique.
Yes.
Every scenario has to be played out, right? And that's why you need an expert from day one. Don't wait till you turn it into a mess.
Yes.
Please.
Yeah, please.
Right?
Do not just run out and put mom and dad on your deed because
Right.
you're building an ADU.
Right.
Because there are risks there too.
Sure.
Although, statistically speaking, it is unlikely that both of your parents are going to predecease you. I mean,
It could happen.
Could happen.
Yeah, 100%.
And now they own the entirety of the
Right.
property, which is going to be susceptible to perhaps a MassHealth lien if they needed that
Yep.
type of care down the road.
Mhm.
So you could, if Mary and Jack had children of their own that they intended to receive the property, they might not. They
Right.
might not get it.
Yeah, because the parents are in charge now,
Correct.
or the grandparents.
Correct.
It's tricky. It's definitely tricky.
It is. So we try to navigate all of these different things.
So what is your number one go-to first? If you say this is the cleanest, in that scenario, what's the cleanest number one move that you would make?
I don't know if there is a cleanest.
Okay, so there's no, this is option A, we love this option A, here's B and C, and here's the...
Yeah, I think it really depends on the family. At the heart of all of our estate planning, whether it's connected to ADUs or otherwise, it is, what are your goals? What are your family circumstances? What are you trying to accomplish? And that changes. Even if a family looks the same on paper, family A, family B,
Sure.
in terms of number of children, type of assets, their goals might be wildly different. So what would work for A might be very inappropriate for B.
Okay, so it
really
it's
depends
very
on their
a la
goals.
carte,
It
very
is.
concierge service where you really get into the weeds with these people. At what point, I'm just going to use, the parents, if you will, and Jack and Mary. At what point do Jack and Mary get involved in this discussion? Is are the parents your client? Is everyone the client? Like, who are your clients?
I think it would be the parents, because they're the ones, presumably in this scenario,
Yeah, I'm just
investing their money.
I'm just going to stick to.
Yeah.
I know there's a million variations. I'm just trying to give people some context when they're listening to this.
Yeah, so they're the ones investing the money, and we want them to be clear on what that means, what risks that might face, what options we have to minimize those risks, and protect them,
Sure.
in case divorces or somebody, God forbid, Jack and Mary predecease them.
Correct.
And now it's going to their children. Do they want grandma and grandpa
Right.
on the property anymore?
Yeah, and if they're minors, maybe they don't have a choice. They don't even know what they're doing.
Right.
So enter the estranged uncle that no one knew about.
Right. So it's talking through all of these different things that can happen, making sure that they're aware of those things, And to the extent that they want to, putting legal documents in place to try to minimize those risks.
So at some point, obviously, in that conversation, after the initial discovery call, you get Jack and Mary involved in that conversation as well. Because it's their property.
It is their property.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they're having some input at some point once you kind of deciding on the format.
Yes.
They get involved because they're going to need to understand what they're getting involved in.
Yeah. And, I hate to say it, but sometimes it puts an end to the plan,
Oh, 100%. I've had, I would say 30% of the people that want to build an ADU, they can't get past the family stuff.
Right.
And the deal just fizzles out.
Right.
I mean, I've had people literally ready, like, we want to buy it, ready to give you a deposit. I'm like, you need to go check with your family. And then 2 weeks later, they'll call back and say, we can't get it together.
Right. In that scenario, especially where there's maybe multiple children.
Well, we're going to get there.
Okay.
Don't go multiple children on me yet.
Okay.
We're going to baby steps.
I'm sitting
baby
tight.
steps.
I'm sitting tight.
Right? Yeah, no, it's tricky. So there's no one size fits all is the answer.
No.
And that's why we need an expert. And that's why you're here. Now we're going to enter multiple children.
Okay.
So Mary and Jack, and then Mary has 2 more sisters.
Okay.
Right? Jane and Sally. Shout out Jane and Sally. But the parents has decided that Mary is the best fit. She has enough land. Jane and Sally live in condominiums, or one rents and one lives in a condominium, and there's no room for the ADU. And so the parents have decided they go in Mary's side yard, backyard, whatever it is. At what point, let's assuming that everything works with the parents, and then you meet with Mary and Jack, and they're all in alignment. At what point do you get Jane and Sally involved in that conversation? And do you quarterback that, or is that a parent thing?
That's a parent thing. They are not involved in the conversation.
Okay, so they know about it to the extent that parents tell them about it.
That's correct.
Wow. So that can get tense.
It can.
Because again, getting back to my original point, I'm just going to use easy math. $1 million. They put 400 in Mary's backyard. Now there's 600. Let's pretend they invest that and they don't need to live off of it. They have investments or whatever. And now at some point their estate settles. They pass away, unfortunately, right? No one's getting out alive. They both go peacefully in their sleep, hopefully, right? And now the estate has to be settled. Jane and Sally say, Mary, you have an extra $400,000 on your property. Where's my, whatever it is, $125,000 cut of that property?
And that's where we want to be able to look back and show that we had those conversations with the parents, and they went into it, as I said, with eyes wide open. They knew that Mary was getting more than Jane and Sally were going to get. So
do Jane and Sally sign off on that ahead of time?
No, and I don't think that they need to.
Okay.
If parents
when you sidebar, when you do someone's will or that estate plan, who witnesses that besides you as the attorneys?
Our staff.
That's it.
We have staff who witness those documents as well.
Yeah. Interesting. Just a quick story. So my aunt, this is early 90s, she was getting on in age, and she wanted me to be the executor of her estate.
Lucky you.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I've done it a bunch, unfortunately, and every time they, one of my relatives, I'm like, okay, I'll do it, but I'm under duress. I don't want to do this. No, because no matter what you do, you're the bad guy.
I know.
Right? But there has to be, for me, especially if there's real estate involved, they end up just calling me so many times anyways. I'm just like, let me do it.
Right.
Let me do it. Right. I've done this a bunch. Let me do it. Right. Just like you, they call you and say, yeah, let me do it because I know what I'm doing. Right. But the point of that story was when she was changing her will when she was probably 89, 90 to make me the executor. And she lived on Pinckney Street in Beacon Hill. And her lawyer, great lawyer, Gleason, can't remember his first name. He helped her with her paperwork, but he had 2 judges come and witness it because he was sure that the other relatives wouldn't contest it. And thank God that he did that, because they immediately went to contest. And once they saw the 2 signatures from the judges, and they had interviewed my aunt, they hadn't just signed off it. They had come and sat with her, and they kept copious notes about it.
Yeah.
And that was the end of that.
Yeah, I think if the attorney is at all uncertain of a client's capacity, or wants to ensure or at least reduce the likelihood of challenge. I mean, we live in a litigious world.
I understand.
You can challenge things.
But you want to buckle and brace the best you can.
Right. So we do our own capacity assessment. But if, like I said, if we think there's any question, we will ask their physician for their medical opinion as well.
Okay, so you do get some backup then if
We
you
do.
think this is questionable.
Yes, we
Okay.
want to make sure
So
that
you'll take
we're
that
not
next
doctors.
step. I understand.
Yeah.
You'll take that next step. If it does
Yes.
get challenged, you say, no, we have, Dr. Smith and blah, 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 and here's his
Yes,
letter.
who opined that she had the capacity to sign these documents.
Interesting.
At the time that she did.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people think about that.
Well, you got to think about it from as many angles.
I
as you
know,
can.
and again, going back to that's why they need to call you, because you can't, it's like filing your taxes. Don't do it on your own.
Right. I am a big believer that, as long as you have capacity, you can do what you want
100%.
with your assets. It is not for your child, your niece, your nephew, your neighbor to say, no, you should have done this. It's not theirs.
Yeah.
So sorry, Jane and Sally, but if parents thought that this was the best move for them and this is how they wanted things to be, then I think we should respect that.
Oh, agreed, 100%. But that is for everyone listening out there that, you need to get some family alignment early in this ADU journey, because otherwise you're going to get to the point where you think you're moving forward and then it implodes. Yeah.
In that scenario where we've got Mary and Jane and Sally, if parents came to Mary and said, well, we still want things to be equal, Mary might say, well, I'm changing my property. I could build an ADU and I could rent it. I'm providing care. I'm providing support.
Mm-hmm.
There should be something extra for me for
100%.
doing that. And if she doesn't feel that that's fair, she can say no.
Yes, 100%. And it's just, you need the family alignment the best you can. And especially it's interesting. I have one that we're working with, talk about complexity. So we have a married couple, but they used to be married to some other spouses before.
Okay.
So they each have children of their own from different marriages.
Okay.
Right? And now they're wanting to build an ADU, and they have, I think, 7 children between them.
Fine.
Right? And they are wanting to build an ADU in the yard of the one of the children, for lack of a better word, that has the best property for it.
Yeah.
It's just an easy, not all ADU builds are easy. This one's an easy build, that all the stars are aligned, the topography, the septic, the water, it's just, you just go do it.
Yeah.
Other than pulling a permit, it's that easy. It's like, when I pulled up and looked at it, I'm like, wow, I wish every job was like this.
Yeah.
But of course, now enter 6 siblings, right? And they're not all related, either the siblings. You have, I think it's 3 on one, whatever it is, 3 and 4, I forget, but it's a lot of kids. Yeah. And they're all different ages, and they're all at different, in their own lives, they're all at different stages. Yeah. Right? And so how do we handle that one, counselor?
Yeah, I think people need to communicate, which is not always an easy thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they need to also be really honest with themselves, which is also not always an easy thing.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah. This isn't a legal opinion, but as I said, caregiving can be difficult.
Very.
And even if parents are healthy at the time that they move into the ADU, it will change the life of the person whose property they're living on.
100%.
They're going to have the right to invite guests over to come and go as they please.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to be the same for them. And would you want your life impacted that way? You know, you're fighting because, oh, they might get a little bit more in terms of dollars, but their life is going to be impacted for the remainder of parents' life in that ADU, you know, and they are taking on some risk.
100%. And a lot of responsibility.
And a lot of responsibility.
Right? So, you know, I joke with my kids all the time of like, first you grow up and you grow down.
Yeah.
Right? So, and then everything goes the other way. So in the beginning, they took care of their kids, and now the kids have to take care of them. I mean,
Yep.
So it's interesting. But that family dynamics needs to be dealt with. So let's switch gears for a minute. Did we cover everything you want?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So let's switch gears for a minute and talk about young adult first-time home buyer.
Yes.
And that's about 25% of our clients.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, it's a lot. We've already built 3 for, you know, young adults. They, you know, they're out in the market and they're looking at houses and they're $500,000 to $900,000. They're not in a location they want to live in. They need a lot of work, or they go and find one they love and they get outbid, right? Because they don't have cash, you know, to buy it.
Even to rent. Rent is
or they're gonna go rent. It's
expensive.
$3,600 a month to $2,600 a month.
Yeah.
And so they looking at this yard, especially if the parent has a good sized piece of property. You know, it makes sense to spend $350,000, $400,000 and have the house they want, right? And we're kind of fast forwarding, if you will. Now they're there when they're already there together, and then as the parents start to age, you know, maybe they switch, or maybe
there's
there's some of that in that conversation too. We've had a bunch of these conversations. What, have you ever watched that show Billions? Did you ever see that show?
No.
Well, they had an in-house psychologist, and I've been joking now for a year and a half that I need to find a family therapist to work with these families to work through these issues, because it's complex.
It can be.
Right?
It can be.
But the point of that story is, you know, they're kind of not waiting to the day that mom and dad need help. They're already there. Right. And then they can be there, and, you know, they're together already. They don't have to try to get together later, especially if you have one, you know, have parents with one child.
Right.
You know,
that's where it works the best.
Yeah, that's the
the easiest.
Yeah.
Yes.
But there are a lot of people that have one child, right? Or, you know, maybe one, or they've had 2 children that are way apart in age.
Right.
You know, one's, you know, 12 or 15 years older than the other one, right? And that person's already moved to Montana or whatever, and, you know, they're off doing that. So how does that change that equation that we talked about? Because now the child is on the lot, and they could be homeless if the parents get divorced.
I would hope that they wouldn't, and their parents would still let them stay there. But yeah, I suppose.
Right. So how do we protect Jimmy? So Jimmy's building his ADU, and parents are here, or parent. And how do we protect Jimmy? Because at some point, the parent or parents, let's pretend they don't get divorced. Maybe they pass away, or they go in a nursing home. Right? How do we protect Jimmy in his ADU?
So I think it's going to depend on where the funding for the ADU came from. If Jimmy is the one building the ADU, that's going to be a different scenario than mom and dad are building the ADU for Jimmy to live in.
Well, let's take the first one, because I want to talk about the second one.
Okay.
Because I've seen both. So Jimmy, the parents don't have a mortgage, and so what the one that I saw they had to do was Jimmy went on the new mortgage with the parents, and all 3 of them on the mortgage together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So is he now protected?
No, just because you're on the mortgage doesn't mean you're on the deed.
Ah.
So you can be on the hook financially.
Those are 2 separate things.
Yes, without having an
I
ownership.
never thought about that.
Yes.
See, I learned something every time I have a guest on.
So that's not ideal for Jimmy.
No, that's bad juju.
Yes, it is.
So who's your client in that scenario, Jimmy?
No, most of the time it's mom and dad.
But Jimmy could be your client.
He could be, certainly. But I think
Jimmy, you got to call.
most of the time it tends to be mom and dad who are coming in.
Yeah.
We are very fortunate to have some, multi-generational clients who are doing work for parents, and they say, okay, now things are evolving. I'm going to bring my son, my daughter, whomever
Sure.
in, and then there's some additional layers of planning there.
So that's scenario one. So Jimmy has some skin in the game. But what if they just build the ADU for Jimmy? Let's pretend that parents have the money to do it. They don't need to take a mortgage. They say, you know what, we've done well in our 401k for the last 6 years. We're going to take $400,000. Because we want Jimmy house, and he's going to pay us rent, right? Because he doesn't have enough money for a down payment. Whatever that scenario is, still in college, whatever that is. But now this is his ADU. How do we keep Jimmy in the ADU if the parents go kaflooey? How do we protect Jimmy?
So I think it's the same way that we protect the parents when they're moving on to the property. It's making sure that there's perhaps a lease in place for him, a formal lease.
Okay.
He's renting the property. If there's trust planning that might be appropriate, to give him maybe a right of first refusal to purchase that property at the time. So there's different options depending on what they're trying to accomplish.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that can be tricky. Now, the last cohort, if you will, is someone in the family has a disability. And it can be mild to severe, right? And I'm just going to use the scenario where the parents have a child that, is, getting to the point where they need some independence, but they can't really live alone, for lack of a better word. And again, this is all situational. I'm just trying to get you into where we're at. How do we protect you? So, parents, and then Pete needs help, right? So they're going to build their ADU for Pete, and it's going to be detached, but on the property. How do we protect Pete when the parents pass away?
So if Pete's the only beneficiary, that's reasonably easy to do through some trust planning.
If Pete's an only child.
Yes.
Okay.
So in that situation, once parents pass away, it might be beneficial for Pete to move into the big house, maybe now with some caregivers, rent the ADU for some additional income to help support the big house and the care that they need.
Or rent the big house and get more rental. Right. Whatever.
Depending on whether or not, he needs some live-in caregiver.
But with something in that you need to have trustees, or if there's no other family members that can be trusted.
Professional trustees.
Professional trustees, or maybe a combination of family trustees and professional trustees.
Yes.
So they can be the tiebreaker, if you will. Because I can, and I know you've heard this, but I can tell you the parents' biggest worry is they're going to outlive Pete.
Right. What happens once we're gone? Who's going to take care of Pete?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that freaks them out.
Yeah. But I mean, we can't solve for.
No, I understand, but we got to do the best we can, right?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. But you're
going to miss every shot you don't take.
Right. There's definitely mechanisms that we can put in place to make sure that Pete remains as independent as is safe to be, but that has as many of the supports as necessary, but also as many of the benefits that he might be entitled to.
Sure.
So we don't necessarily want him to get.
Yeah, we don't want to enrich him too much
money.
that he's exempted from receiving support.
Correct.
Yeah, there's a fine line.
There's a way, but there is a way to plan for all of that. Absolutely.
So when you build it, now when you're building these plans, and I know I've said this already, but they are very unique to every family.
Yes.
And how do you handle the tax portion of it? Do you have a tax attorney you bring in as needed?
So we are very fortunate that one of our partners, Michelle Vineski, she has her LLM in tax. So she has an advanced tax degree.
Okay.
So that is a really wonderful feature of our firm. But to the extent that there needs to be a CPA involved, a financial advisor involved, we try to involve them as early in the process.
So if they already have one, you bring them into the mix.
Yes.
If they don't have one, then you're going to bring in someone you know and trust.
Yes. So there's some recommendations that we can give to them, and they can kind of see who feels like a good fit for them.
Yeah. Yeah, the same as me. I give the list. And, right? Not, that's why there's chocolate and vanilla ice cream, right? Yeah. So.
But we think it's very important to be collaborative.
Sure.
Because I can't think of everything.
No.
And I want the CPA to say, well, what about this? Okay, let's figure that out.
Yeah, 100%. I tell every one of my clients, listen, the ADU journey, you need a mortgage person, you need a really good attorney firm, and you need a builder. And all those people need to work together.
And maybe the therapist, as you suggested.
We need the therapist. If you're listening, we need you. Because it's this, especially if
we just created a new niche market.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have one on the show. But especially if Pete has a brother or sister, then that gets even more complex. Because maybe the brother or sister has to move into the parents' house and then keep an eye on Pete. Right? Yeah, no, it's tricky. But again, that's why I just had clients in my office yesterday. And they are, it's a reverse. No, it's the same scenario. So the parents are selling a house. They're moving on to the daughter's property with her son-in-law. And they're selling a house to do it. They need some bridge financing, a home equity line of credit in order to get the AD built so they can just sell the house and move in, not sell the house and be homeless for an extended period of time.
Right.
And then live with the, in the children's house, and they all drive themselves crazy for a while.
Yes, and then no one wants the ADU.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're gonna have a blow up halfway through, right? Exactly. This one happens to be attached because we don't have room, but the good news is attached to a garage, so there is some separation.
Yeah.
The attached thing, it's just nicer when it's detached, but we can make it so you can attach later.
Right.
Even that 10 feet.
Yeah,
it just
makes a difference.
It makes a huge difference.
Right.
It really does. I've seen, we've had a couple of clients now, 1, 2, 3 clients that, someone in the family had, varying degrees of support needed. Mm-hmm. And I've seen the chain, they've been living in the house and now we build the ADU and then they move into the ADU. And I see an immediate change in their whole perspective, the way that they approach me when I'm there. It's a totally different. They have like their own little kingdom.
Yeah, and I think for parents who aren't thrilled about having to move, they may need the supports, or the support might be coming, down the road. It is an easier sell from the child, I think, when you can say it's separate. You're not connected to us. We're not just going to be able to waltz in and out of your home as we see fit as the children, because we know better. You're going to be able to have your privacy still. You're still going to be able to have your independence. But when you need us, open the window, shout.
We're 10 steps away.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's, it's funny. I said this the other day on a podcast, and I hadn't really thought it through until I said it. But if your parents are, say, 20 minutes away, you're going to see them once a week, probably, right? If they don't need additional help. Right. You're going to see them once a week. And they're going to live for 10 more years. You're going to see them 520 times. You break it down like that, it's not a lot of times, right? If you see them less than once a week, maybe you only see them once a month. Now you're only going to see them, 120 times, right? If they're in the backyard and they live for 10 more years, you're going to see them 3,600 times. 3,650 times, right? So it's a big difference.
Yeah, it is. And I have to say, as someone who is fortunate enough to have a very involved mother, very involved in-laws with my children, very helpful caregivers, always there to do whatever they can do to be helpful to us. If you have children and you're considering moving your parents in, think about what a wonderful gift that is, both to
100%.
your parents and your children,
Yep.
because that closeness is going to solidify that relationship.
Mhm.
And it's a remarkable thing.
It
It's
is.
a remarkable
I've
thing.
seen that transition already in the few that I've done. You know, you see that it's, you know, we're going to grandma's.
Yep.
And they just walking across the yard.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And that can give mom and dad a
big
much
boost.
greater quality of life.
Big boost.
Huge.
Yep.
Huge.
Yep. And that's why I tell people, don't wait too long. If you think you're gonna do this, get moving on it. You know, I tell people all the time, listen, let's pull the building permit. The permit good for a year, and we get 3 6-month extensions. Even if you say to me, we are not doing this for 18 months. Great. Let's just go get the permit now. And then we're ready to go when you're ready to go. Right? Let's get all the tough stuff out of it. The building part is the easy part.
Yes.
It really is. It's all the front work up done.
Right.
Once I get on site and I'm digging, it's easy.
Right. As we like to say, getting your ducks in a row.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. A lot of ducks too.
Yes.
There's a lot of ducks. There's a lot of ducks in the ADU. A lot of ducks from different families too.
Yes.
Yes. Commingling of ducks.
Yes. Got to get them in line.
It's never easy.
But it's possible.
It is. No, I mean,
with good planning, it's all possible.
Again, the first thing I tell my clients, you need to have a family lawyer that understands this whole ADU journey, estate planning, elder law, taxes,
right.
Yada, yada. There's a lot.
Yeah, because the building is just the building.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more that goes into it.
100%.
Absolutely.
I disagree with you about the building. I'm going to let you have that one. There's a lot of little tricks to building.
Spoken by a non-builder.
Yeah. There's a lot of little tricks to building an ADU that's going to last a long time, and you're going to be able to stay in there a long time. Number one pet peeve I see is these modular units that are built with 1970s bathrooms in them. You're not going to be moving there when you're 70 years old. Never mind when you're having mobility issues.
Right.
It's just silly.
Yeah.
And then top of my list, no linen cabinet or linen closet in a bathroom. Who lives like that?
I couldn't.
Who lives like that? It's insanity.
It is.
I can't tell you how many clients come to me with a plan they've downloaded on the internet, and I look and I sit there with them and I say, I love it the way it looks. Can I fix the inside for you, please?
Right.
And they say, what do you mean? And I walk them through all the pain points. You're not going to be able to get in here. This door's only 2.6. There's no linen cabinet. There's no this. There's no that. There's no closets.
Yeah.
And then they look at it and they go, oh, wow, you're right. I'm like, yeah, I'm right.
That's our version of when clients come and say, I asked ChatGPT. But what do you think? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because I definitely have an opinion on that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole nother bag of worms.
Yes, certainly is.
Yep. All right, what else you want to talk about as far as the ADU journey? Then we're going to take you into the lightning round.
Okay. Gosh, I mean, I think we've covered a lot. It's just whatever you're going to do, whatever you end up deciding, be thoughtful. Be thoughtful as you go into it.
Yeah, and get started early.
Yes. There's a statistic that 40% of caregivers will pass before the one they're caring for, because they simply stop caring for themselves.
Wait, let me break that down. Let me understand that correctly. So the mom is Mary. Jane is taking care of Mary. Jane passes before Mary 40% of the time. Wow. Okay. That's a terrible number.
It is. And
and that's a national number, like real statistics?
Yes. And I think if you spoke...
Because they get worn out? Or
yes. If you speak to anyone who is a caregiver for somebody who has Alzheimer's or another form of dementia,
that's really tough.
Has Parkinson's or really any significant illness like that. Somebody with a significant physical or intellectual disability, it is natural that you put your own needs on the back burner. They need me. They need to be the focus. So you're getting them to every doctor's appointment. You're making sure that they're eating as well as they possibly can, all while you haven't slept in 2 days and you're calling out of work and you've rescheduled your doctor's appointments 3 times already because the caregiver who was supposed to show up to relieve you so you could go didn't come. So there's just so many things that you back burner about your own health when you are in that active caregiver role that unfortunately leads to a lot of caregiver burnout and then, unfortunately passing away before the one they're caring for. So it's so critical to look into options like ADUs where you can provide support, but you're not necessarily, right there, active primary caregiver. You can still live your semi-independent life over here, and you can bring support in for mom or dad or whomever the case may be. And that's just, that's something that people don't think about when they go into that caregiver role. It's my mom, it's my dad. I should care for them.
I understand. So we go back to the original scenario. Parents move in the backyard of Mary. One parent passes away. The second parent's still alive and is declining in health. Is there a just because they're on the deed or whatever mechanism we're doing, are they still entitled to some additional services or like services available to them, or is it all private pay?
Yes. So they may be able to qualify for community MassHealth. Okay. So that is the MassHealth program that helps bring services into the home. It can help pay for things like adult day health. It can help pay for transportation to and from appointments. It can bring in a PCA, a personal care attendant, to help with bathing, to take care of household chores, things like that. So, assuming the parent, can qualify for it, their income and assets are at the thresholds that they need to be, that can be a really significant way to help support the care that Mary is providing.
So that goes into that early conversation to make sure that you're not blocking yourself from being able to receive those services.
Correct.
Wow. I got to tell you, the more I pick at this thing, the more complex it is.
Yeah. That's the world of elder law and estate planning.
Yes. And the more I learn, the more I realize I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Well, come on in for a consultation. I'll educate you a little bit.
Jeez. I think I just got voluntold.
So for somebody who might be looking to do an ADU, and perhaps they either have shaky capacity or they don't have capacity, and they're looking to be moved into the property, in order for somebody to be able to effectuate that type of planning, parents needed to have good foundational estate planning documents, durable power of attorney, healthcare proxy, HIPAA authorizations, so that the kids can act on their behalf, sell the property that they're living in, move them in, coordinate care that they might be needing. If parents don't have a really comprehensive, durable power of attorney that lets somebody make legal and financial decisions, if they don't have a thorough healthcare proxy to have them make medical decisions for them, a HIPAA authorization that lets them have access to their protected medical information, so be able to contact their insurance company about what benefits might be available, file a MassHealth application on their behalf if that becomes necessary. Without those critical foundational documents, kids are not going to be able to act for mom or dad.
Yeah, they can't help
without probate court involved,
which is a disaster.
Conservatorships, guardianships, expensive.
I've been through all that, and it's a disaster.
Right. Most people want to avoid court involvement, if at all possible.
Yeah, because from a time standpoint, if you need to do something and you need to wait for the court to approve it,
you don't want to wait 3 months.
Yeah, even if you get lucky and they get it done in 90 days, right? It's 90 days that you're walling around trying to make decisions that you can't make.
Correct. And then it's a judge choosing who's going to make those decisions for you, rather than you choosing who you trust to do it.
You're going to say, listen, Mary's my power of attorney. Mary has full right. Mary has the HIPAA.
Right.
Mary has this, Mary has that, and she can act as me when my capacity is diminished.
Right. So that's a good power of attorney is going to allow Mary to sell your property. And the reason why I say it needs to be comprehensive is, a blanket 1-page power of attorney that you might have seen 15, 20 years ago. Yeah, it just, this person can do everything for me that I can do for myself. It doesn't cut the mustard. It needs to be very detailed, very comprehensive.
So scenarios and different triggers allow people to do things.
So if you're naming Mary as your power of attorney, and Mary is also whose property you're going to be moving into, Mary's going to be wearing 2 different hats. She's going to be power of attorney and she's going to be herself. So your power of attorney needed to have authorized self-dealing so that Mary can
good
act.
point, right? Because she's playing both sides.
Correct.
Ooh, that's dangerous.
Correct. So it's really important, not just that you have the document, but that it be thorough enough to be...
And that goes back to my initial conversation with you saying, when you call on the phone, tell the whole story in detail, what you're trying to accomplish, and then you're going to ask 400 questions to tease out all the answers to make sure it's going to fit for their family.
Absolutely.
And you're going to custom design a full comprehensive set of documents that are going to deal with all these issues.
Yes. And the nice thing about...
So before we get onto that,
yeah,
what's a budget range for something, like a full everything that I need?
Well, everything that you need depends on who you are.
Just a range.
If you were coming in and all you needed were your foundational documents, trust planning wasn't appropriate, you didn't need anything more advanced than just those foundational documents. For a single person, it's about $1,500. For a married couple, about $3,100.
Okay. And then up to $10,000 if you need a whole bunch of stuff?
Right.
Right. But it's not $50,000.
No.
So it's somewhere between $3,000 to $10,000 you can get done everything that needs to get done.
Yes.
And
I'm not looking to retire off your estate plan.
I understand, but they're going to have it done correctly. Yeah. It's going to be done by an experienced firm that listened to them, designed it for them. Yeah. I mean, that's short money.
Yes.
Right? When you're talking about the rest of your life being protected,
absolutely,
right? I think anyone would say, is my credit card. Go ahead. Right?
Yes. And when you become a client of our firm.
And just understand, too, you'll be glad you spent that $5,900 or the $7,900 when that moment comes when someone says, but, and you go, oh, no, here's the paper.
Yes.
And they go, oh, yeah, never mind.
I thought about that, but.
Yes. And that you would have, at that moment, you would have paid $79,000 for it.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. I was just saying that when you become a client of our firm, we invite you back in every 3 years for a free review meeting.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because
circumstances change.
They do.
Yep.
And even if nothing has changed, it's an opportunity to refresh your memory on what you put in place and why.
Yeah.
But
it's important, like you said, that every 3 years to take a good hard look at it, because Mary and Jack might have had another child, or who knows, right? Or maybe, unfortunately, Jane passed away, and that changed the dynamic of whatever.
Circumstances change, and if you're going to invest in an estate plan, you want to make sure it works for you when the time comes.
Yeah, it's like a parachute, right? You better hope the thing opens when you pull the rope.
So every 3 years, we invite you back in, have a chat about the estate plan, and if nothing's changed, we just refreshed your memory on what it's doing for you and why.
Well, that's really awesome. All right, you ready for the lightning round?
I am.
All right.
I am.
Favorite tool you can't live without?
That I can't live without?
Yes.
Like a tool?
It could be a tool or a device or whatever.
Oh,
it can't be AI, because we're going to talk about AI in a minute.
No, a favorite, an actual tool.
Sure.
I have this little teeny tiny pink screwdriver, and every toy that my child has needs a little tiny screwdriver.
And you have it.
And I have that pink one in our junk drawer, and I use that thing every week. Or my kids do.
There you go. Industry trends you have noticed. What are you seeing in the industry, in your industry?
Oh, gosh. that people are starting their planning earlier,
That's good.
which is wonderful. People
Yeah.
are starting to be more proactive than reactive.
Yeah.
And that people are really, I think, starting to do their due diligence on who they're working with.
Yeah.
And they're selecting more highly qualified professionals to do the plan.
Yeah, they're not shopping for just a price. They're actually making sure they're getting what they
Right.
need.
They're starting to understand the value.
Yeah.
of
Not
what
all
they're doing.
lawyers are created equal, unfortunately.
Right.
Just like all builders are created.
Right. And the aging population in Massachusetts is growing at a faster rate than almost anywhere else in the country.
Is it really?
It really is. So we are trying to help people stay proactive and meet and solve some of the challenges that are facing that aging population.
Dream project you'd love to work on. It doesn't have to be a lawyer project.
Oh, gosh. We really want an in-ground pool. So I would love to work on that. But honestly, having just recently become an owner, this sounds silly, but this is my dream project. Surprenant Nunes is my dream project.
Good stuff.
Building that and the people that we work with and the clients we help, it is what I am passionate about.
Awesome. Best piece of advice you've ever received?
Focus on time management and everything else will fix itself.
How are you using AI in your world?
I'm using it to kind of help refine some ideas that I have. If I'm looking to write an article and I've got these 20 concepts that I want to get in there and I need to kind of build around that. That's probably the main way that I'm using it. I don't think it's quite where it needs to be to provide reliable legal support or analysis at this stage. So it's mostly kind of, but in that fluff building.
Listen, when I first started using 2022, I did it to help me write emails.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Advice you would give your younger self.
Relax. I didn't relax. I still don't relax. It's the advice I would give.
Well, you were
myself
busy.
today.
I'm going to give you a pass on that. You were busy.
I know, but I could have relaxed a little.
I hear you. Favorite food and dessert?
Spaghetti. I love spaghetti.
Really?
Yes.
With red sauce?
With red sauce.
Okay.
And hamburger and linguine noodles.
Ooh.
If anybody ever needed to know, linguine is my favorite pasta noodle.
Now we know. What about dessert?
Yes. For dessert, I'm actually not that big of a sweets fan.
That always surprises me when people say that.
Yeah, I'm more savory, but honestly, it would be something like really, really junky, like gummy bears. Haribo gummy bears.
Oh, yeah, there's not like
you
a
can
good,
sell me on a
especially when
Haribo
they're
gummy bear
fresh.
any day.
Especially when they're fresh. When they're really
The
still
clear
soft.
ones, the pineapple.
Yes.
Yes.
That's your jam.
100%. That's my jam.
All right. If you could have dinner with anyone alive or dead, who would it be?
My grandmother.
Nice. What was her name?
Bertha Shea, and she passed away. Gosh, I don't even know how many years ago it's been now. 8 years.
Wow.
Maybe. No, about that. But I still have voicemails saved on my phone.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that I can still hear her voice.
That's awesome.
Yes, she left messages when my son was little.
Yeah.
Just seeing how he's doing, those types of things. Yeah. It's adorable.
That's awesome. All right, final question.
Okay.
If you had $10 million to donate, who or whom would you donate it to?
That's a really hard.
It is.
That's a really hard
You don't have
question.
to pick one. You can spread it around.
I honestly would probably give it to people in my family.
Okay.
I think I have a lot of family members who have worked hard to support me over the years, and it was not always easy to do.
Yeah.
And now that they're getting a little older, I'd like them to enjoy life a little more.
I'm going to build some ADUs.
Yeah. So
I like it.
That's probably where I would spend it.
Awesome. That's good stuff. Did we forget to talk about anything?
I don't think so.
All right. Did you have fun?
I had a lot of fun.
Good.
I had a lot of fun. I can't wait to see the finished product.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. We did good.
Good.
That's a wrap for today's episode of the BuildX Podcast. Thank you, Erin Nunes from the estate planning and elder law firm, for joining us. Please subscribe, like, and share if you've enjoyed it. See you next week. And remember, just build, baby.